Well, to get a bit more analysis now, I'm joined on the set by our foreign affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, these new sanctions to force Iran's hand in the war come as there are also tariffs to try and force a favorable trade deal with Canada. The Trump administration here is clearly betting that the U.S. economy is powerful enough to get its rivals to give in to demands. Let's start with Iran first with these sanctions. What's at stake here, and can the U.S. succeed?
Well, look, the question really is how far Donald Trump is willing to go when it comes to those secondary sanctions on Iran, on the countries trading with Iran. And it's unclear how far he's willing to go and whether he's willing to go after everyone. Yes, Scott Bessent said yesterday that no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions when he was asked specifically about China. But let's take some of the major countries that still do trade with Iran. You have countries like Turkey, like India, the UAE, and of course, China. Now, if you're a smaller country like the UAE, it seems that the threat of the U.S. economic might be enough for you to back down. The UAE seems to have taken that threat seriously and is suspending for now all trade with Iran. But will the others cave in to that threat by the United States? And is Donald Trump actually going to sanction China? Because that's really what we're talking about. China is the big one. China, remember, last year went head-to-head with Donald Trump in that tariff war. They said, you're slapping tariffs, we'll slap them right back at you because we are strong enough to do that. Donald Trump also, the question is he willing to anger Xi Jinping just weeks before the Chinese leader is expected to come and visit the White House? And why am I focusing on China? Because this doesn't work for the United States unless China actually plays the game of cutting off Iran. We don't know if that's going to happen. And the goal here for the United States is really to achieve through economic pressure what the U.S. wasn't able to achieve through 6 months of a war against Iran. We saw in that report, yes, the Iranian economy is not doing well. It's getting worse. Yes, the people are feeling the pinch, but can that economic pressure sort of translate into political pressure strong enough for the regime either to fall or to finally cave in and end the war on the United States' terms?
All right, let's focus now on Canada. Canada doesn't seem like it's ready to stand down in the face of Trump's new tariff threats. Here's what Ontario's Premier Doug Ford had to say, and I'm going to bring you in just after Kethevane.
If President Trump escalates, Canada needs to be ready to do the same. Everything needs to be on the table. We need to use Canada's many points of leverage to create maximum impact, targeting deep red states and making sure that America's economy feels the pain.
All right, what are your thoughts on that? Any sign the U.S. could be more successful there with Canada? Doesn't sound like it.
Well, look, Donald Trump, after those talks fell through, he imposed 50% tariffs on roughly $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. And he even threatened more tariffs on specific industries like cars, auto parts, or even steel, which are actually deeply integrated within the U.S. economy. But as we heard there, Canada not willing to stand down, even in the face of threats by Donald Trump, who said fall in line or face consequences that are far worse than those. First of all, Canada is willing to fight back. Everything is on the table. They say maybe not dollar for dollar tariff slapbacks because the Canadians know that tariffs, they are not good for the country that actually imposes them because they are taxes on the people who buy those goods and the countries that receive them. So they may go instead for some more targeted retaliation. Remember last year, Ontario, that we just heard from there, they decided to retaliate by putting a 25% surcharge on selling electricity to states in the United States, Michigan, Minnesota, upstate New York. That could be a powerful leverage for the Canadians. Second thing is, as I was saying, that tariffs have consequences on your economy. Donald Trump saw it last year when he started threatening all those tariffs. Everybody was saying, economic specialists were saying, look, tariffs are going to hurt the American people. Is Donald Trump willing to actually do that just weeks before the midterms elections and risk having those rising prices become part of the story as you get into those elections? That's unclear, and that gets me to my final point. Will Donald Trump actually follow through this time around? Remember the phrase that was coined last year during the tariff wars, Taco Trump. Trump always chickens out. He had to walk back most of his tariff threats. Will that happen again? We don't know. We'll see. But there's also the question of the legality of the tariffs. Remember, the Supreme Court last time around sort of slapped down some of the tariffs, saying that that's not how these things work, and he couldn't do that this way around. This time, he's using a dormant law from the 1930 Tariff Act, Section 338. That is an actual law that exists. It has never been used so far to specifically impose tariffs on a country, so we'll see if that actually stands legally.